Hello, my curious nerds. I'm Wesley, and my next idea is to try replicating this table that my dad made in 1962 for his high school shop class. My dad would have been 77 this year. He passed away in 2019. He made this table when he was just 16 years old. That's 12 years before I was even born. So that basically makes this just a really badly scheduled father and son project. I've started with the legs. These still have a little more work to go, but I get bored easily. So I'm gonna move on to the apron. That's this bit here. My dad made this out of mahogany, and so to replicate it as closely as possible, I picked myself up a nice wide piece of it, and I should just be able to get out what I need from the remaining chunk after cutting these out. Yeah, okay. That's not gonna work. I threw together this fence to route the decorative grooves in the apron, but clearly it's not gonna be that simple. I was hoping this sandpaper would be enough to keep it from shifting, and mostly it does, but it also wants to like cock to the side, and you don't have to bleep that there. That's so I need to secure this better. So I'm gonna have to rethink this. Whoa, yeah. You okay, little buddy? It's my second favorite finger, too. Come on. This is stupid. Just make a new one. Now, before I try again, I'm gonna do a little something here. I'm gonna do a little Google search of myself. You ever do this? See what comes up here. There's the usual stuff, my Instagram, my videos, books I've written, but other stuff comes up when you search yourself that I don't like so much. Private details, my full name, I don't even use my middle name, names of relatives, places I used to live, but that's what data brokers do. They mine your data and they sell it to spammers and scammers. But Aura, who has graciously sponsored this video, they help you fight back. Aura shows you which data brokers are selling your data, and they automatically submit opt-out requests to clean up your information. which helps reduce spam and provides protection from hackers who could use that information to gain access to my social media, bank logins, and other sensitive accounts. And Aura saves you from downloading multiple different apps like VPN, password management, identity theft insurance. It all comes at one affordable price, and it's always on, protecting you in the background. I value my privacy, and you should value yours. Go to aura.com/Wesley or follow the link in the video description to start your 2-week free trial. Now, let's take another crack at these grooves. One of the most important lessons I've learned in making anything, and it took me way too long to figure this out, figure out your order of operations before you make your first cut. In this case, I've got 4 pieces I need to make, but I start out with 2, just cut to the width I need. That way I can route all the grooves at once, sand them all at once, and I can leave myself a little extra along the edge here for tear out from the router bit, which will now get cut off as I rip these down to their final size. Old me always liked to cut out all of his pieces first and then do the details, which was a huge waste of time and opened up more possibility to screw something up. Another very important lesson that I've learned is never try to cut something out perfectly on the first pass. It's never gonna happen. Cut outside the line and then sneak up on it. I took very light passes on this sander until I got the shape that I wanted. That's something my dad probably learned in shop class, and he taught me, and well, now I'm teaching you. Who even needs shop class anymore? You've got YouTube. I'm your shop class. It's a very easy B-, just click like. B+ if you subscribe. All right, back to the legs. The legs actually have this nice detail where it's tapered on the 2 inside edges. And to accomplish that, I'm just using this sled that you saw me use in the beginning to get a reference edge on my stock. My jointer died a few years ago, like my dad, and rather than replace it, I just made this plywood sled. It's got a few T-slots cut in it, and I've added some stop blocks so that once I've got the first leg set up, all I have to do is stick in the next one, and go. All right, I got all my pieces nicely sanded, and it's time to assemble them. By the way, you may notice I've got twice as many pieces here as I need. I'm actually making 2 of these, and if I don't totally screw it up, one of them could be yours, so stay tuned for that. Now, I've taken a real good look at this table, and there's a small gap over here, but it doesn't really tell me anything. I don't know what kind of joinery he used to put this together. But knowing my dad, it was probably dowels. Big dowel fan. Oh, and here's one more quick lesson for you. When I was taking a good close look at this, it wasn't till then that I noticed these grooves, they're not even. I'm not sure how he did these. I think he may have hand chiseled these, but they're not evenly spaced, and they're not all the same width. And that's not to say this is terrible. I mean, he was 16 when he made this. It's far better than I would have done at 16, but even after this being around my whole life, I never noticed until I really looked up close. And that's something I've learned after doing years of client work is most people are never going to notice your small mistakes unless you point them out. So don't do that. Don't sweat the little imperfections. Okay, so I was going to put this together using dowels, but Rockler was having a post-holiday sale, so I kind of picked up their beadlock system. Not sponsored, by the way, but I'm going to give this a try. I blame David Picciuto, really. So this is what the beadlock looks like, and I've already gone ahead and measured the centers where I'm going to place this. All I got to do is line that up in this little window here. Clamp it in place, and then I drill these 3 holes. I slide this guide over, drill it twice more, like your mom. And that gives me this. And that fits that. Now I just got to do the matching leg, but this apron piece on the original table, it has an inset of about 1/16 of an inch. The cool thing is you can buy a set of spacers for this. So 1/16, set that in there, clamp the leg in there. Yeah, there we go. Now, as for the second one, as I alluded to earlier, I'm going to be auctioning it off. I haven't auctioned something off in quite a while. So, in order to make shipping easier and cheaper, I'm going to do it Swedish meatball style. We're gonna flat pack it using these these you know, pin and cam doodads. I'm going to glue up the short sides normally, and the long sides they're going to be collapsible. So I have already picked myself up another jig for doing exactly this. I'm not going to be using this precisely the way it's supposed to be used for reasons. I'll go more into that over on Patreon. I spent a couple of hours figuring out how to hack this to do exactly what I wanted. So let's do it. So one of the problems with this jig for this project is it's spaced a little too wide for these apron pieces. So I'm using a handy shim to offset it a little bit so that one of these dowels is not too close to the edge. That's the only purpose this serves. And these will result in the 1/16 offset that we talked about before. Now, again, for reasons, I've got to flip this around to drill the cam hole on the inside. There. And now the leg. By the way, I forgot to mention, if you want to build this table yourself, I am offering plans over on my website, linked down in the description. Now this middle one needs to be a little bigger, but that's not what this part of the jig is for. There's another piece that's for that, and the way you're supposed to use that is you put a dowel in the center hole of your first piece, and then you use this little notch here to line it up with your other piece and drill all three of these holes. But because of my inset and the fact that this is really too narrow for this, it ended up being too complicated. So what I've done is I used the clampy half, which was easier. I drilled these two. Then I can just use this to reference off those. Switch to the bigger bit. And that's where this goes. Yeah, just like from IKEA, but better. Okay. There's just one piece left to make. Nothing but the best, Dad. Apparently, my dad had run into a bit of a speed bump when making his tabletop. See, I'm no expert at woodworking, so I took this table to a couple of different places where I buy lumber just to verify that I was right about this being mahogany. What was tripping me up though, and what we figured out was this top, which is made out of two pieces, is 2/3 walnut. Clearly my dad did not have a piece of mahogany big enough to complete the whole top. So he did what he had to do. Now, I was able to get a full 13-inch wide piece out of the stock that I had, which is the width of the original, but I ran into a speed bump of my own in that 13 inches does not fit under the guide bearings of my bandsaw. So I had to cut mine down to 12 7/8. I did what I had to do. The original table, which is, what would you call this style? What does this look like to you? Craftsman? Looks like Craftsman, right? I don't know. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Anyway, the original is most likely made from genuine mahogany, which was a lot more plentiful in my dad's day. I went with African mahogany, which was a little cheaper, although the genuine mahogany that I found available was still lighter in color than this. I don't know if the mahogany my dad started with was just darker, or if it's age, or you can see underneath where he didn't bother to apply finish that it's still darker. So it's not just the finish on this. I don't know what it is. Anyway, I'm not going to get an exact match of this, but I would like to get as close as possible. So I ran a few tests with some different colors of stain, and I have decided that this one is the closest match, which coincidentally is called red mahogany. So applying finish is a thing that I get really nervous about, but I feel really good about this result. Of course, I've been applying finish for the last couple of days in an enclosed space, so I feel pretty good about most things right now. In my original test pieces, I used Total Boat's Gleam 2.0, and you can tell it's got more of a richer golden color to it, but at the last minute I decided to switch to General Finishes Armor Seal because I compared the original table to the storage bin cabinet that I did a few years ago, and I felt like this finish more closely matched the original, and I think it really did turn out nice. As for the auction table, I didn't apply any stain to this. This is just Total Boat's Gleam. I've got a discount code down in the video description, by the way, and I love how this turned out. It's got this fantastic rich golden color to it. Some of the grain in this is almost iridescent. Whoever gets this in the auction, I think, is going to be really happy with it. Now, you've seen how these pieces go together, but we've got one more step. We've got to attach the top. And you can see on the underside of my dad's table, he used these Z brackets, or sometimes just called tabletop brackets. They clamp into this slot here on the apron. By the way, you can see where he signed his name here underneath. 1962. That is wild. He was a teenager. I did the same on mine in the same spot, but I used a laser. He probably would have used a laser if he had had one, if they had been invented yet. And you probably spotted these already, but I've already added the slots on my apron here just by running them across the table saw. Again, all these details and all the measurements for everything are available in the plans that I'm putting up over on my website. It would make me so happy to see you guys make your own version of this table. I think my dad would have gotten a real kick out of it. Now, I've already added some marks here where my screws are going to go. This makes me really nervous. Okay, good. Now, just make sure I'm centered up. And these types of brackets are still in common use. I was able to pick these up off of Amazon. By the way, why is it, I swear this is universally true, they always include countersunk screws for stuff that's not countersunk. Now, the point of using brackets like this is to allow for movement when the wood expands and contracts due to the environment. That way, it does not end up splitting. And with the top attached, got myself a matching set. I mean, they're not precisely the same, but I'd say two tables made more than 60 years apart. It's not bad. Put these on opposite sides of the room. I think they'll look great. I'm really happy with this. In fact, I think this may be the most precise thing that I've ever made out of wood. The link to the auction is down in the video description. And if any of you guys decide to make one of these, I really want to see it. Tag me over on Instagram. I took some time off around the holidays, but this year there is some really cool stuff coming up, believe me. So stay tuned for that. Later, nerds.